Now joining us is former NFL agent, and I'll be honest with you, Mr. Pratt. How do you say your first name? Because I don't want to get it wrong if I am getting it wrong.
It's Rene, R-E-N-E.
Rene, okay. So
Rene.
I thought it was Rene, but I wasn't sure,
I love
so
that.
I was saying Rene. But Rene Pratt joins us, former NFL agent. You can follow him on Twitter at Rene Pratt. Rene. My first question for you, somebody had told me to ask you this specifically, and I thought it was a good idea to ask you since it is Veterans Day. But what are your thoughts on the NFL accepting, I guess you could say, sponsorship money to honor veterans?
I don't think there's anything wrong with them accepting sponsorship money if they're going to pass it on to the veterans. If they're able to pass that money on, it's a good idea. Now, if the NFL is making money off of the veterans, that would not be good. Are they passing the money on, Andrew?
I'm not really sure if they. I mean, the only thing that I heard from it was that they were accepting sponsorship money to honor the veterans, and basically it was profit. That's the only thing that I really heard. I haven't heard anything about them passing it on to the veterans. But that's actually a pretty good idea.
That would certainly be a disappointment if the NFL did not pass it on. I mean, you've had a lot of NFL players and former players. You know, Pat Tillman gave his life for his country and is a hero. So you've got a lot of players that have gone into the military after playing or have cut their career short, and I think we should honor them. But I think the NFL needs to pass that money on to our veterans that deserve that money and deserve our respect and the honor that we should give them every day for protecting our freedom. So I would be very disappointed if the NFL didn't pass it on.
Yeah, I can completely understand your disappointment. And what I've noticed, and everybody else has noticed, the NFL has gotten a bad rap as of late. You see this trailer come out with the movie Concussion. You hear stories about how NFL players they struggle after their career, but the NFL really doesn't reach out. They don't really give them any money to take care of the players. The NFL being cutthroat, the reputation, is it deserved?
I would say somewhat, yes. I think it's deserved. I don't think they've done enough for their players. There's a pension plan in place. The pension is after 3 years and 3 games. You receive a pension, I believe, at age 50 or 55, but it's not enough money. There's a lot of players suffering. One of my former players is suffering. He just spent 3 days last week in Atlanta. He has trouble walking. He has trouble, doing the things that you and I can do every day, lifting our arms. He had numerous concussions playing quarterback in the NFL. So it's a tough gig. I mean, listen, we all know when we play this game that it's rough. But I will tell you, I was at an NFL site the other day, and I'm looking at the helmets, and I'm talking to somebody in the NFL, and I said, listen, this is no different than when I played the game, 35, 38 years ago. It's got a little bit more padding, but that's about it. And it hasn't kept up. I mean, the equipment hasn't kept up with the players. The players are faster. The players are stronger. The players find ways to get stronger. So I don't think the equipment's kept up, and I think it's a very dangerous sport. I don't know if you have boys. I've got 2 boys and 2 girls. One of my girls is a great golfer. One of my boys is a great baseball player. The other one's an actor and a golfer. My other girl's a writer. But I don't want my boys playing football, and I love the game, and I played it. But what I've seen, this friend of mine, we've been friends for 49 years, and I see him suffering now like there's no tomorrow. And he played 4 years in the NFL. He's 55 years old. That's relatively young, but he looks like a 70-year-old man the way he walks around. That's sad. You had a little something on your show a little while ago. You were saying legalize marijuana. I agree with you. I think it would help some of the players. Not only does it help cancer, but I've seen people that are taking morphine for pain, and morphine doesn't do anything for them anymore. Marijuana would actually help them tremendously. And I'm with you 100%. I think they should legalize marijuana. I think there's no harm in it. It can actually be very medicinal and help a lot of people along the way. And the NFL could play a role in that if they really chose to. The NFL suspends players for smoking marijuana. Guess what? When you get beat up on Thursday night and Sunday night and Monday night, you need something to take the edge off because these guys are getting battered. People will say, hey, yeah, they make a lot of money. Let me tell you, the average career is short. These guys deserve the money they get. They know the risk going in, but the NFL has known the risk a long time before the players knew the risk.
Absolutely. Let's have a round of applause for Mr. Rene Platts. Legalize marijuana. Absolutely. I love to hear that. That is absolutely great. Thank you, Rene, for that endorsement. That is absolutely awesome right there. We need to legalize marijuana. But go ahead, Stephen. Oh, that's awesome. So awesome.
Stephen Hart here. Glad to have you on the show. The first question is, you're a former NFL agent. Can you name some players that everybody might know that you were their agent?
I don't know if everybody would know him, but a guy named John Forcade, who broke all of Archie Manning's records at University of Mississippi, then a guy named Eli Manning came around and broke all of John Forcade's records at Ole Miss. John was a Saints quarterback. He was the number 2 rated quarterback in the NFL in '89 for the games that he played right behind Joe Montana. John became the starter for the Saints in 1990. I actually signed him to the same contract that Jim McMahon had at the time. And John was making good money off the field with endorsements and was a household name in Louisiana. And what most people don't know is John becomes a starting quarterback full-time in 1990. Bobby Hebert sits out, and John's the guy. His girlfriend goes in for a checkup, 24 years old, and dies. And John was never the same guy. After that, I moved from Louisiana to Los Angeles, California, and John would call me every night at 3 a.m. crying. Good friends for 49 years, and, things happen. And when that happened, it destroyed his NFL career. He was never the same guy. Loved the game. I mean, it's a guy that played in the NFL for 4 seasons, was a Saints quarterback, was a backup, and then became a starter. And then John, played indoor football, arena football, did everything in football, loved the game.
Yes.
But he's the one suffering now from all the aftermath of all the hurting. A guy named Milton Mack, who also played for the New Orleans Saints. Milton Mack was a DB with the Saints, and then he was a DB in Tampa. And had a successful career, probably 6 years in the NFL. A guy named Keith Forcade, a guy named Rich Parker. That's it. But guys that would have been known would have been Forcade and Mack were the 2 guys. I never recruited a player ever. I ended up with 13 guys playing either arena, NFL, or Canadian football. But it was all through word of mouth, and I feel that I did a great job for them. So John owns a Hooters restaurant in New Orleans. He also owns part of a golf course. Just a good old guy from the Bayou in New Orleans. And good people, but, not household names probably, but John was an All-American. He led the SEC in, I want to say 1982, 81, 82. It's a funny story. When John was recruited to Ole Miss, Steve Sloan promised him the starting job. John was going to go to Alabama. Probably the worst move he ever made was going to Ole Miss. But he sat on the Bears hat. When the Bear came to recruit him, he accidentally sat on the Bears hat. And the Bear told him, you're going to sit on the bench for 2 years, young man, and you're going to learn the offense, and you'll play by your 3rd year. And John, as we're all young and cocky, he decided, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go to Ole Miss and play quarterback. He put up 44 on the Bear one year, lost the game, but the Bear was like, I wish that guy would just graduate so he could move on. But he was a pretty outstanding quarterback, and you can look him up at Ole Miss. And then with the Saints, he had a good run in '89. Eric Martin, do you remember Eric Martin? Wide receiver, played for New Orleans and for Kansas City with Joe Montana.
Eric, yes. Now that you say Kansas City, I remember the name because he played alongside Joe Montana. I remember him.
Correct. He was a good receiver. Well, he actually became a Saints starting receiver in 1987 during the strike. During the strike, players walked away from the game, and they needed players, and the way I got John Forcade into the league was a very interesting way because I was on the phone with Bill Kuharic, who was a player personnel guy for the New Orleans Saints at the time, and Jim Finks was in the background. And Forcade had been in their camp in '86, but they had Richard Todd, they had Dave Wilson, and they had Bobby Hebert. But I saw the camp every day, and Forcade outplayed them, and they cut Forcade. So in 1987, during the strike, I called Kuharic and said, hey, listen, why don't you sign Forcade? He'll put asses in the seats, and it'll be good for the city of New Orleans, and he knows your offense already. And he said, nah, we don't want John. I said, okay, no problem. Hold on, I got Green Bay on the other line. So when I came back, I said, listen, Bill, don't worry, I'm signing him with Green Bay. And I hear Jim Finks in the background yelling, no, no, no. And I signed Forcade to his first NFL contract in 1987. By the way, there was no Green Bay on the other line, just so you know. And that's how John got started in the NFL. It's a funny story, but a good story. John Forcade was a heck of a player. Jim Moore used to be my spokesperson for my restaurants in Louisiana, and I used to tell Jim that John was better than Hebert, and he used to tell me, no way, Rene. I said, give him a chance. So he calls me up one day, and he says, hey, I'm going to start your boy. I said, really? Thank you. It was about 5 degrees and snow in Buffalo. That was his first start in '89 for the Saints, and he lit up Buffalo, Jim Kelly and the boys, Bruce Smith, Darryl Talley, and then came home and played Philadelphia, Reggie White, Buddy Ryan's defense, and beat him on a Monday Night Football game, lit them up. And then he lit up the Indianapolis Colts with Eric Dickerson, Jack Trudeau, lit them up, I think, 41-3 on Christmas Eve. And then we parlayed that into a nice-sized contract.
That's a great story for a guy. Yeah, it sounds like a Jim Kelly guy. Like, he does great against these great teams, like players like Eric Dickerson, and he started Buffalo and he lights them up in the snow. That's a great story.
Yeah, you've got a guy at Fox who was in New Orleans as a sportscaster named Chris Myers. Chris Myers will remember that story. Yeah, Chris is a really good guy, and he used to play Johnny Be Good on TV for us. Every time John would light it up, he'd play Johnny Be Good. So we parlayed that into some endorsement deals. A lot of fun in the old days.
Well, let me ask you about this. Well, let me ask you about this to get your opinion on this as far as the quote-unquote dark side of the NFL. We've all seen the trailers for this movie Concussion with Will Smith in it that's coming out next month. What is your opinion on Concussion, and what kind of PR hit are we looking at towards the NFL from this movie?
You know, the funny thing is on the trailers it says the NFL owns a day of the week. I disagree. The NFL owns 3 days of the week. So, you know, what's the damage to the NFL? Probably not a lot. You know, people know that it's bad for you, and we still have people in America having their kids play. I mean, John is hurt and, you know, having a lot of trouble walking and stuff and in pain. And he asked me, when's Christopher going to play quarterback? I said, he's not. He's not going to play football. And he said, well, I'm really sorry you feel that way. And I said, well, I'm not. You know, so these guys love the game. I don't think the NFL is going to take a big hit. The NFL is the biggest moneymaker there is. It's also the biggest monopoly. I mean, it's also the biggest hypocrite. Ray Rice, you know, still out of football.
Yeah.
That's incorrect. That's incorrect. But we got Greg Hardy playing football and making $13 million a year. You know, Goodell knew what happened with Ray Rice. Goodell lied. Goodell's a liar. Here's a guy making $44 million a year. Pretty sweet gig, you know, but he's not an honorable guy. I mean, he doesn't do right by the players. The NFL Players Association doesn't do right by its players. I think they sell out way too often. I think they need guys in there that really look out for the players, and they're not going to sell out to the players. To the NFL owners, I think their union could be better for the players. I don't think they've protected the players well enough. And I think a lot of that happens because you have former players that come in to run the union, and really they don't care about the player. And listen, you can ask former players, bring former players on your show, ask them how they feel about their union. I think their union should be a lot better. I don't think the NFL is going to take a big hit. We all love the game. There's no better game to watch on television than NFL football. College football is wonderful to watch also, obviously, but the game of football is just so good for television. I know I enjoy it. I love it. But like I said, I have two boys, pretty good athletes. One full ride out of high school, actually not a full ride, but a 65% ride to Virginia Tech for baseball. Another one that's very outstanding golfer. A daughter with a full ride in golf to Miami. So good athletes in my family, but I didn't let them play football. And if I have any more kids, they're not playing football. Concussions are real. They're happening. They're trying to do something about it, but it's a little late. They knew a long time ago that it was causing problems for players. Look at Mike Webster. Look how Mike Webster died. You remember Mike Webster? 50 years old. Great center for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, he died because of all the issues of NFL and concussions. Look at Junior Seau. I knew Junior Seau. I lived in San Diego when Seau was a star. And Seau, you would never think had those issues. And all of a sudden, man, the light bulb went off. Guy kills himself. Dave Duerson, very bright Notre Dame grad, kills himself. That's what this game is doing to a lot of these players. Now, they know it going in now, and kids are willing to sell out for the prize, and the prize is a lot of money and a lot of fame, But we've got to do more to make the game safer for the players. Doctors have to be more realistic with the players. The concussion protocol really needs to be followed. A lot of times you see guys come out of the game and they're right back in the game. When we played, I don't know how old you gentlemen are, but I'm 54 years old. But when we played, we call it you got your bell rung. Guess what? You were right back in the game the next play, if you even went to the sideline. So.
Rene Pratt's former NFL agent. You can follow him on Twitter at Rene Pratt's Rene. We do appreciate you being on the show. The last question for you. Legalize marijuana. What year will it be, Rene? What year will the players start to get peace and be able to smoke without suffering consequences from the government? When can we legalize the herb?
You've got marijuana legalized in a lot of places today, and quite frankly, I don't think we're far away. I think we're a couple years away. By 2017, 2018, you're going to see marijuana legalized in the whole country. And you're right, tax dollars will come in, crimes go down. It could be, people argue it's a gateway to other drugs. I don't agree with that. I think it's very medicinal. I think it's very relaxing. You don't see anybody that's smoking pot out there, committing bad crimes or anything of that nature. They're pretty relaxed. And I've seen it help people with cancer. I've seen it help people with, major pains in their back and different things. So I think it should be legalized. There's a lot of companies out there now in Colorado that are doing some good things, and you see it. You go to Colorado, you can actually get it, in chocolates. You go to a place that they dispense it. It's pretty cool. I had a buddy of mine say to me, "Hey, you want to take some home?" I said, "No, it would be my luck. They'd stop me at the airport on the way back to Miami, so I'll pass on the chocolate."
Gotta pass on the chocolate.
Yeah, unfortunately. But listen, I've had a good time talking to you guys. I appreciate you having me on your show. I'm going to become an avid listener, and I think you're doing some great things. And we like the same music. We like the sun. And we agree with legalizing marijuana. Now, my question for you is, do you agree with concussions in the NFL, and is the NFL doing enough?
The NFL is not doing enough. And you can ask my co-host, I've been very critical on the NFL, especially Roger Goodell. I just feel like that Roger Goodell, for one, he has way too much power as an employer. And I keep hearing these stories about how the NFL doesn't take care of the players after everything is done for them. And it makes me sick to my stomach because this is literally the most violent sport in the world. People can put up the argument of rugby, but at least in America, football is the most violent in the world, and it makes me sick how nobody wants to take care of the players.
What about
compared to the NFL? Compared to the well, let me ask you, Rene. Can we say that hockey is more violent than football, Rene?
No, we could not, because you're not getting the head trauma in hockey. You're not constantly banging your head on the line. You're not constantly running from a running back position or receiver position, exposed and getting hit over the middle. You're not constantly getting banged. And I mean, listen, go to a practice. Go see the practices. Go see two guys go, head on. That's not normal. You don't see that in hockey. Hockey, you have the enforcers. Every once in a while, you have the fights, but that's nothing. You could fight on a street corner the same way they do in hockey. So you can't compare hockey to football.
But here's my thing. Like, in hockey, I agree with you. Physicality, football is way more taxing. But you take a puck to the face, I mean, that's it. You take a puck to the face, you can have brain damage. You take a couple shots, coming across the middle, you can play next week, depending if you pass concussion protocol. You take a fastball to the head, you're done.
Not necessarily, but I will tell you that the chances of you being done in taking a fastball to the head compared to the chances of you having concussion issues from football are slim to none, and Slim just left town. To be honest with you, I don't see the comparison. Baseball is a much safer game. Hockey even is a much safer game than football. I love the game. I got to tell you, I enjoy it. I watch it on Saturdays. I watch it on Thursdays. I watch it on Sunday whenever I can. But I will tell you, I love the game of football. But we got issues, and they got to be fixed. And Roger Goodell, the guy at the helm, has to take charge. I think this movie's going to expose Goodell. I think this movie's going to bring out some interesting facts. I think a lot of things have exposed Goodell, and he seems to have Teflon. He seems to shake it off pretty well because the good old boy owners, support him. That's it. That's their boy.
You nailed it. You nailed it right there. I missed the entire. I didn't listen. I was listening. I wanted to chime in. So Roger Goodell is the owner's pet. I mean, he's literally the guy that they want to do whatever they want to do. He's the only reason why he went after the Patriots is because all the owners forced him into that situation. That's why he went after the Patriots, and no one understood it. So all of the owners were behind him. The only owner who wasn't behind him was Robert Kraft. And see, when you're basically the league's puppet, you get to do what you want to do. And he hides behind his warrior background, but Goodell is nothing but a puppet, and he has been since he took over the NFL.
And Rene, before you give your feedback on that, I just want to say we only got about 30 seconds to go in this segment, then we got to go to break. So just give us a quick 30-second comeback, and then we'll let you go.
Let me tell you what the NFL needs to do. NFL fans need to ask for Goodell to go away. Goodell's bad for the game. He's a bad guy. He's a lawyer. He's sneaky. Everything he does is with an ulterior motive. He doesn't have the fans or the players' best interest. Okay? It's all about the money machine, and you can't do that. You have to have balance in everything you do. You can get mad as a leader, but don't get even. And he's a guy that gets mad and gets even. Ray Rice does not belong out of the game today. There's no reason why Ray Rice can't play running back in the NFL today, and Ray Rice has been banned, basically. He's been blackballed. And that's Goodell and his cronies.
We appreciate you being on the show, Rene.
Andrew, enjoyed it very much, all right? Talk to you. Be safe and take care. And by the way, when you do any marijuana and you get the munchies, come to my place. It's awesome. All right?
Hey, that sounds great to me. That sounds really good to me. We appreciate it, Rene.
All right, guys. Be safe. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That was awesome. So